Hey folks, the Comics Kid 2099 here, and like every Saturday, I'm here to talk about an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I'll be talking about the Season 2 episode of Batman Beyond titled Mind Games. If you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the rest of this review. Or if you forgot what happened in the episode, stick around, as I'm about to sum up the events of the episode before I get into the review itself. The episode begins with a demonstration of why flying cars are never going to be a good idea when lightning strikes a car going for a leisurely drive at night in Gotham. Batman asks if everything is okay, and seemingly everything is, but the little girl in the car begins sending Terry telepathic distress signals, and we soon find out the people with the girl were not her parents. They are part of an organization called the Brain Trust that is kidnapping the girl, Tamara, because of her abilities that they want to hone. Eventually, with Tamara's help, Batman is able to save her and get her back to her family and get them into protective custody. Cue credits. The story for this episode really isn't very involved or complex if you think about it. Batman finds out that a little girl has been kidnapped and he rescues her. But as I've quoted my creative writing professor from college many times, so shall I do so again. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't have to have a complex plot with twists and turns to have a good story. Sometimes less is more, and in this case I agree. I really enjoyed this episode despite the story not being super deep. Maybe part of that is that I've always been a huge X-Men fan, and this episode basically asks the question, what if the X-Men were even more morally reprehensible than they are most of the time? The episode doesn't even try to disguise the fact that, essentially, the people in the Brain Trust are mutants. They don't have unique origins for their powers, like mutants, and they're all teaming up to help others hone their own abilities, even if their doing so is disturbingly evil in this case. And to hammer it home, Bombshell tells Tamara that she doesn't belong with their kind. Sounds very much like a mutant like Magneto who feels superior to the other species. Getting past the Brotherhood of Mutants showing up in this episode, one thing I really liked here was the subtle use of continuity in a way that is rewarding to people who are paying attention, but isn't an obstacle to people who haven't seen everything in the DC animated universe. Por ejemplo, Batman does battle with a big albino guy the other members of the Brain Trust call Edgar. If you've only been watching Batman Beyond, that won't have any real meaning and you could just enjoy this episode and think that he is a heavy that Batman fights. But if you watch the Justice League Unlimited episode Double Date, we see that Edgar is actually Edgar Mandragora, the son of a crime lord who has connections with the character the Huntress. For that matter, the Brain Trust activities in this episode reminded me quite a bit of those of Project Firestorm in the Superman the Animated Series episode Where There's Smoke. So much so that I was almost certain that the Brain Trust was somehow distantly connected to the Center for Paranormal Studies or that government project that trained Volcana in the Superman cartoon. However, there is no connection that I know of between the Brain Trust and that episode of Superman. But that's how good this use of continuity is. If there had been a connection, I would have had to have looked it up just to make sure, like I did with Edgar Mandragora showing up in a later episode of Justice League Unlimited. This episode also makes good use of Max, and once again shows that Terry has no business dating Dana when Max is here. There's even sort of almost a kind of hint that there could be something between these two when they go on their air quotes date to the hotel where Tamara is being held. It's just a shame that, for some reason, the people behind this series thought that Dana was worth keeping around, and that Max didn't need to be fleshed out more and become even more of a character than what she already was. That's about all I have to say about this episode. I really enjoyed it, and I honestly can't think of any problems that this episode had. So what did you guys think of the episode and of my review? If you liked this review, be sure to come back next weekend for a similar review that I'll be doing for an episode of Batman the Animated Series. And the week after that, I'll be talking about another episode of Batman Beyond. And I also do other videos throughout the week, so check those out if you like. And if you did like this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.